Morning, folks. I'm David Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters and the Pathfinder School. What I want to talk to you guys about today is ticks. One of the biggest questions I get out here at the school from students is, what do I do about ticks? I get the same questions on my videos. What do I do about ticks? What do you do about ticks when you're in the woods? How do you deal with ticks? I live on literally, the name of the road I live on is Tick Ridge Road. And there's a reason for that. This place is solid tick infested out here. So I've learned over the last 10 years how to deal with ticks to a certain extent. I've tried everything on the market for ticks as far as sprays and things like that go. I've done research on my own with natural type deterrents for ticks. I've tried different color clothing. I've tried taping things up. I've tried lots and lots of different methods. So what I'm going to tell you today is I'm going to tell you some things, and we're going to debunk a few things. We're also going to talk about some things that are 50-50. We're going to talk about what I found to be the best things to deter ticks and how to avoid ticks in general when you're in the woods. And then we're going to talk about things like products that we can use and things that we should carry with us in our kit, because we're going to inevitably get ticks on us at some point. So let's start off by talking about why ticks are attracted to people. Okay, the simple fact is that ticks are attracted to both carbon dioxide and sweat, odor. They're attracted to human odor in general. So the sweatier you are, the skankier you are, the more ticks are going to be attracted to you in general. They're also attracted to certain blood types over other blood types, and that's important to understand too. If I remember right, O positive and AB are the big ones. And a lot of people are O positive, so a lot of people are attractive to ticks to begin with. Now, what do ticks do? How do they behave? How do they get on you to begin with? Well, that tells you what to avoid, okay? Because things like high grass, high weeds, dense brush, those are the places that ticks go so that they can get on things that are walking by, like you. So when you're walking through high weeds and brush, you're brushing up against those things, you can get ticks on your clothing from that. Now, when you talk about clothing in general, there's been lots of studies on clothing. Is bright clothing better than dark clothing? Is dark clothing better than bright clothing? Most of those studies have been a wash. The one thing that I can tell you from what I've researched is this. Light colored clothing is going to be easier to see ticks than dark colored clothing. And that's about as far as it goes. I wear dark colored clothing most of the time in the woods. Most people do, especially people that come out to the school to take class and things like that. I don't know that it makes a difference whether they're light colored or dark colored, other than the fact that you can see them. So the best thing to do is, number one, to deter them to begin with. And number two is to pay attention to what's going on, have situational awareness, and catch them before they bite or latch onto you. Now, once they bite you, does that mean you're going to get sick? We all know ticks carry disease. We all know that Lyme disease is a big one. That is a tick-borne disease, okay? So one of the things we want to do is we want to catch that before it happens. We want to catch tick bites before they happen. But just because you get bit does not necessarily mean you're going to get Lyme or any other tick-borne disease. Generally speaking, they have to be on there for 24 hours or more to transmit Lyme disease. Studies show this. That's not a 100% thing. This is not Dave saying, if I get this tick before 24 hours, I'm never going to get Lyme disease. That's what studies show, that it takes a little more than 24 hours or 24 hours-ish for those enzymes from the tick bite to get into your system to cause Lyme disease. Now, other diseases can take less time, obviously. So you want to get that tick off of you as quick as possible. And that's where some of these misnomers come in, misinformation come in about ticks, where people will say, oh, put nail polish on it, put Vaseline on it, put a match on it, burn it, things like that. Anything that leaves that tick in there seconds or minutes longer than it needs to be there, if it's already embedded in your skin, is a waste. You don't want to do that. It's taking a chance. So what do you do to remove a tick? Well, if that tick is just crawling on your clothing and you can see it, or crawling on your skin, and that's part of situational awareness, do you feel something crawling on you? 90% of the time, I'll be honest with you, I get ticks off of me before they ever bite me because I feel them crawling, or I'm always paying attention to my clothing, especially after I walk through a patch of high grass or weeds or through a dense area of the forest. so that I can see if there's any ticks on me. Now, obviously you can't see everything, right? I've had ticks up in my beard before and didn't even realize they were there until they're already embedded in my skin. It does happen. But paying attention to those type things is preventative. And that's really what you want to be, is proactive, not reactive if you can help it. Once that tick gets embedded, you want to get him out of your skin as quickly as possible. So what do? The CDC says the best thing to do is to get a sharp pair of tweezers, get as close to the head as you can get, and pull steady pressure straight out. Don't twist it, don't turn it, don't yank it. Just steady pressure straight out, and hopefully you get most of the mouth parts out of there as you pull it out. As soon as you pull it out, you should scrub that area with some type of soap and just let it heal normal. Disposing of ticks, what are you gonna do? Well, you can just throw them back on the ground if you're out in the woods. If you're in your house or something like that, you wanna dispose of them, flush them down the toilet, wash them down the sink, put them on a piece of tape and fold it over and throw it in the trash. All of those things will work, but you definitely don't wanna just pull it off and drop it on the floor somewhere to get on your pet or get on you again or someone else in your household. If you're outdoors, what I always do is I just pull them off and I toss them. That's what I do outdoors. Killing one tick outdoors is not going to make a difference in the grand scheme of things. So I wouldn't worry about killing every tick I see that's on me. If I see it on my clothing, I usually just flick them off. I don't even bother touching them. I just flick them off of my clothing and they're gone. If they're embedded, then I've got to pull them out with something else like a pair of tweezers. They say that you can wear long sleeves. Again, we talked about this earlier in the video. Long pants, tuck them into your socks, all of those kind of things. The fact of the matter is, if you don't see them crawling under clothing, they're gonna find a way in somewhere along the line, even if it's up around your neckline, under your hat, in your hair, under your beard, they're gonna find a way in. So the best thing that you can do is use some kind of a deterrent on your skin to repel them, or at least make them not so likely to jump on you to begin with, all right? Or if they do get on, they wanna get off. So how do you do that? Well, I'm gonna tell you, like I said, I've been through a lot of different products. There are certain chemicals and oils that on the CDC website are FDA approved as repellents for ticks. One of the essential oils is lemon eucalyptus, okay? So that's one I would look at if I were trying to make a bug repellent. Lemongrass is also a very good repellent for bugs in general. So when we decided we were gonna create products called Dirty Woodsman, that are products like soaps and apothecaries for the woods, for woodsmen, the first thing we developed was something for bugs, because that's the common problem of every woodsman. So when we developed this soap, we started to use different essential oils to see what was gonna work the best. And what I found is, without giving too many things away, is that the oils that we use in our bug dope soap that I wash my skin with on a daily basis, ticks don't like it, because I've washed my dog with that soap and seen the ticks running to get away from that dog, as far as across his skin, not trying to get in and bury up, but running across his fur to get away. They don't like it. If they weren't embedded already, they're getting out of there. So that tells me that they don't like that smell. When I use it on my body and in my hair and in my beard, every day when I take a shower, over the last 3-4 months that we've been testing this, since it's become tick season here in Ohio, I have had way less ticks than past years. Does that mean there's less ticks out here and maybe that's a faulty study? I don't know. Students get ticks on them every single class. I have other instructors that were getting ticks on them a lot before we started using these products. Now that is reduced greatly. So I'm gonna say that bug dope soap is a good thing. Now, is that the only thing you wanna use? Absolutely not, because you need to reapply some of these things, because when you sweat, you're going to dilute them, wash them away, and things like that. So we have a spray that's called Ticked Off. It's got oils in it that ticks don't like. I use that as an application spray on my clothing and my gear before I go to the woods, and I also use it while I'm in the woods sometimes in camp. And we're gonna talk about camping in a minute and how to keep yourself from getting ate up by ticks and things like that when you're camping a little bit. And we'll talk about using this spray in our camp as well. So we'll get to that in just a minute. So the point is that you need to use something on your body, if you can, that ticks don't like. That's step one, which means you don't want to use chemicals. You want to use natural things. Number two is you want to use something you can spray as an application over and over again. And if it hits your skin, it doesn't matter. So again, you don't want, or your gear for that matter. So you don't, again, want to use chemicals. You want to use natural oils and things like that. So the two products that we developed were Bug Dope Soap and Ticked Off, and they both work really good in conjunction with each other. I use them all the time on myself, on my gear. I even use them on my dog, okay? So that being said, that's enough advertisement of that. The next thing you want is you want to have a good pair of tweezers in your kit all the time. Now, for me, I've always got that SAK in my pocket. We talk about that lots and lots of times in videos. 90% of SAKs have a pair of tweezers on them, and that's one of the reasons I think an SAK is a very, very important tool. If you do not want to carry an SAK, you're stuck on the multi-tool or whatever the case may be, or you just don't have an SAK that has tweezers in it. The other thing that you can do is you can use these Uncle Bill's tweezers, all right? These are a really nice pair of very, very pointed tweezers that clip into a holder with the hole here. They just snap in there. And you can hang this thing around your neck. You can hang it on your gear. You can put it in your IFAK, whatever you want to do. But it's a nice pointed pair of stainless steel tweezers that you can carry with you that are great for ticks. We're carrying these Uncle Bill tweezers on our website now specifically for that reason. I wanted something on our website that we could have on there for people to deal with ticks. If they're not carrying an SAK or they don't want to buy an SAK, whatever the case may be, these tweezers are fairly cheap. They're easy and light enough to carry just about anywhere in your kit. So if you've got some type of soap that you're using, some type of spray that you can reapply, a way to remove ticks when the time comes, and then some kind of soap that you can wash with after the fact, and you can wash with Bug Dope Soap even after the fact, because those oils in that soap are also antibacterial. So it's a good, just common soap to use as well, but it's also a good bug deterrent. So you can use that to wash up with after you've removed the tick. If you've got alcohol or something like that, an alcohol wipe, those are always good options as well. Some kind of a hand sanitizer, anything like that is fine, just to clean that open wound where you've pulled that tick out of your skin. The last thing I want to talk about is trying to prevent ticks while you're camped, okay? It's one thing to prevent them when you're walking through the woods. It's something else to prevent them when you are sitting, laying still, or something like that overnight. Temperature affects ticks. They don't crawl around as much and jump on things as much, and they're not as active in colder weather. So even this time of year, it's June here in Ohio, when it's getting down in the 50s at night, low 50s at night, not so much of a problem. But as it starts to get to where it's in the 60s and 70s even at night, even into the 80s when it's the middle of the night, then you're gonna have problems. So what do? A, get off the ground. Okay, I've said this a million times. In the wintertime, in the cooler weather, in the fall, I'm a ground sleeping fool. I like sleeping on the ground. But once it gets hot, I'm going to the air. A big reason for that is because of the ticks and the mosquitoes, because I can put a bug net on my hammock or have a hammock with a built-in bug net. So you still have places that ticks can crawl, obviously, because you have lines that go to trees that are connected to your hammock that can let them into your hammock if they can't get through the bug net, but they can crawl through the little bitty cracks and things like that where ropes and things are coming out. They can get in there if they want to bad enough. Trust me on that. So what do? You take a spray, an application spray, like this Dirty Woodsman Ticked Off, and just spray your tree straps that connect to your hammock. Spray your hammock down with it. It's not gonna hurt it any. It's not gonna hurt you any to sleep in it, for sure, and it's not gonna hurt the fabric any to have it sprayed on it. So those are things you can do to help prevent ticks from getting into your camp setup. But getting off the ground is huge in and of itself, because that's where most of the ticks are. If you're not walking through high weeds and bushes and things like that, and you're statically camped, as long as you're not on the ground where the ticks are at, you're gonna be way less likely to have those problems or get ticks on you. So that just makes common sense. If you're in tick infested area, get off the ground. That's a key element. So that's a prevention thing. And then beyond that, you're just gonna have to have situational awareness. Check yourself. Every time you get ready to do something where you're changing clothes, getting ready to hit the sack, getting ready to get up in the morning, whatever the case may be, just do a quick check. Make sure you don't have any ticks on you. If you've got that compass mirror, you can check things behind you as well to make sure you don't have any ticks there. Or if you've got some type of hygiene mirror, you can use that. But check, rub your fingers through your beard and see if there's any lumps in there where there's a tick attached to you, because sometimes you don't feel it. Their saliva is a numbing saliva, so you don't feel them chewing on you. Every once in a while, you'll feel an itch or something where you feel them biting you, especially when they first start, but a lot of times you won't feel it. Run your fingers through your hair. Make sure you don't have any lumps and bumps in there that aren't supposed to be in there. You don't have any ticks there, behind your ears and things like that. Check all of those areas a couple, 3 times a day, especially if you're in a heavy tick-infested area, and you'll be doing yourself a big favor, trust me. All right, guys, well, I'm Dave Canterbury, Self-Reliance Outfitters in the Pathfinder School, and I appreciate you joining me after this video today. I know that, it's kind of a talking head video when it comes to something like this, but there's not a whole lot you can really show unless you've got a tick embedded in your body and show somebody how to pull it out, or one crawling on you and show somebody how to flick it off. So most of this is going to be talking head, but it's something I get lots and lots of questions about. And we did see some ticks on students and things like that at the class this weekend. So it reminded me that it'd be a good discussion to have with you guys. I appreciate your views. I appreciate your support. I thank you for everything you do for our school, for our family, and for our business, all of our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, and friends. And I'll be back with another video as soon as I can, guys. Thanks.